Good day to our senior high school learners. I am Sir Edward, and welcome to another episode of New Learnings and Discoveries in the Field of Philosophy. On our last lesson, we discussed the topic, the human person as an embodied spirit. We were able to discuss and understand what essentially makes up a human person and the qualities that a human person with embodied spirit should demonstrate. Now, if you wish to recall our previous topic, the link for our last episode is posted on our description box. Can you still recall how old were you when Typhoon Ondoy brought several months worth of rain in just 12 hours? Or do you still remember how the Super Typhoon Yolanda washed away properties and lives in an instant? And of course, we have the most recent typhoon, and that is the Typhoon Ulysses, which happened last year. These are all tragedies that resulted to the loss of lives and properties. And we could lessen the impact of these disasters if not because of the negligence of human beings as stewards of the environment. Welcome to our new topic, and that is the last topic for the first quarter of philosophy, and that is lesson number 10, the human person in the environment. In this lesson, you will discover different views on how human deals with the environment, proposes ways to address environmental issues, uphold its preservation and sustainability, and appreciates the beauty of nature. Now, human beings as a steward has to show care for the environment and not destroy it. The Earth's future is our responsibility, and so let's find out how to take care of it. Now, how does philosophy define the person's relationship with the environment? To answer this question, we will discuss the concept of environmental philosophy. Environmental philosophy is a discipline that studies the moral relationship of human beings with the environment and its non-human contents. Philosophers believe that the human person has the ability to change the environment to suit his purposes. This means that as human person, we interact not only with our human beings, with our fellow human beings, but also with other living and non-living elements in our environment. Humankind is a part of the world, and we significantly affect our environment in the same way that changes in our environment affect us. We have three major views on the relationship between humanity and the environment. Number one is what we call as anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism focuses on the significant role of humankind in the world and considers nature as the means by which humans are able to meet their needs and survive. From the word anthro, remember when we say anthropocentrism, the focus here or the central figure here is man. This view believes that humans are the most important species on the planet and they are free to transform nature and use its resources. Remember that for anthropocentrism, man is regarded as the center of the environment. One good example here is the case of overmining or overfishing or developing mountains to build settlements or establishment. Now, this is done for the name of profit and income. The second view is what we call as biocentrism. Biocentrism believes that humans are not only significant species on the planet, but all organisms have inherent value and therefore should be protected. Now, this view drives the activities of humane organizations that advocate the ethical treatment of animals. Say, for example, of this is the PETA, diba, for the ethical treatments of our pets, of the animals, or one example for the application of biocentrism is this scenario. Say, for example, you went to a beach and you saw starfish or starfishes on the seashore, on the beach. So, on applying the concept of biocentrism, you should not take away the starfish on their natural habitat. Because remember, when we say biocentrism, you give more significance or importance to the living things. And that is the main concept of biocentrism. The last and the third view is what we call as ecocentrism. Now, ecocentrism places great value on ecosystems and biological communities. This view believes that humankind is part of a greater biological system or community, and that we have a significant role as stewards or caretaker or guardians of nature. So, say for example, for ecocentrism, everything is considered, like for example, the sky, uh, the air, the soil, or even the sea. We take into consideration the whole living system. Another example of the application of ecocentrism as a view in environmental philosophy is the use, for example, of public transportation. Now, public transportation is considered much beneficial compared with the use of private vehicles because the use of public transportation could lead to the less use of fossil oil, which we all know is considered detrimental to our environment. We now move on to the next concept, and that is environmental aesthetics. Environmental aesthetics is a philosophical view that believes maintaining order in the environment will bring out the natural beauty of the surroundings and contribute to the well-being of the people and other organisms living in it. So we have related concepts and ideas in relation to our topic. One of which is what we call as sustainable development. Sustainable development is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generation. That means you are mindful of utilizing our resources without sacrificing or compromising the needs of the future generation. Mean to say we should it is our duty, it is our moral responsibility, 'di ba, to leave, for example, a legacy to the younger generation. Kailangan nating magtabi, kailangan nating mag-iwan sa younger generation. This is the main concept of sustainable development. And sustainable development yields, of course, a sustainable lifestyle for it to be applied. Now, we have three important principles of sustainability. Number one is what we call as environmental integrity. This refers to maintaining the state of the environment. This means that human activity should not disrupt the ecosystem and human communities located in the area. Meaning, you should not interfere with the flow of the ecosystem because that is designed for a particular needs, that is designed for a particular purpose. So, wala dapat baguhin doon kasi merong purpose or merong dahilan kung bakit nandun halimbawa yung particular landform or water form na maaring ika-distract halimbawa ng isang community or ng ecosystem kapag meron kang binago. And that is what we call as environmental integrity. So we have here two examples. One of which is the controversial issue on the Kaliwa Dam. Kaliwa Dam is one of the proposed project of our government that would that is seen to be a solution to ease the problem on the water distribution. But unfortunately, for some environmentalists, they saw Kaliwa Dam as destruction of the ecosystem in the province of Quezon, particularly in the regions of Sierra Madre. And that could lead to the loss of habitat and displacement of the local community located or residing on that particular area where the Kaliwa Dam would be established or would be constructed. And in relation to the Kaliwa Dam, we have here the Sierra Madre. This is the Sierra Madre mountain ranges, and this is considered as one of the Kaliwa Dam is located on this particular portion of the Sierra Madre. And as we all know, Sierra Madre serves as our natural defense against typhoon. So say for example, during the onslaught of the typhoon Ulysses last year, these mountain ranges of Sierra Madre, diba, became beneficial so that it could weaken the intensity or strength of the typhoon. So imagine if the ecosystem in the Sierra Madre would be disrupted or be destroyed, diba, there would be a greater chances that a more severe impact of typhoon would be experienced on the particular region of Luzon. Second principle is what we call as economic efficiency. Economic efficiency refers to prudence in decision making. When we say prudence, prudence means being careful. Okay, going back, prudence in decision making regarding the use of resources to ensure that there is minimum to zero waste. Meaning, magiging matipid ka. Okay, you should be conscious on the use of resources. Now, again, prudence refers to the ability to regulate one's actions and behavior. While frugality means magiging matipid, being thrifty with the use of one's resources. So, some example of economic efficiency are the following. For example, the use of tumbler instead of a disposable cups. So, this way, you're also helping the environment and at the same time, minimize the waste, diba, when it comes to plastic waste or paper waste. Or, for example, instead of using plastic bag whenever you buy your grocery, you use cloth bag. So, in that ways, you promote the particular concept of what we call as economic efficiency. It is also considered as a practice of sustainable lifestyle. The third important principles of sustainability is what we call as equity. Equity demands that we use our natural resources in such a manner that these are conserved so that the next generation will be able to use them. Example for the case of equity is how we preserve our mangroves or what we call as bakawan. And mangroves is beneficial because it can save us from tsunamis or it can save us from storm surges. So another example is the use of dolomite, 'di ba? On the Manila on the shoreline of the Manila Bay. It is important for us to think whether that particular action coming from the government is considered sustainable or not, especially right now that we are in the middle of the pandemic and we're using the resources of a dolomite to replicate the idea of a white sand. Another example for you to consider to apply the concept of equity is the rehabilitation of the Boracay. The rehabilitation of Boracay was implemented or was administered in 2018 in effort to restore or to rehabilitate the beauty of Boracay so that the next generation would still be able to appreciate the beauty of Boracay. Diba? We're preserving Boracay because as we all know, Boracay is considered as one of the top tourist destination in our country. And of course, tourism would generate more income in our country and it would generate livelihoods to its residents. Another example of the concept of equity is this particular scenario. This is what we call as the Arroceros River Park. The Arroceros River Park is considered as Manila's last lamp. So we commend and we kudos the initiative of the local government of Manila in saving, in restoring, and for rehabilitating this particular forest in Manila. So it is our duty, it is our moral obligation, diba, to preserve and to restore this particular forest as one of the last forests in the city of Manila. Now, aside from the principles of sustainability, let us also discuss the theories in radical ecological philosophy. Number one is what we call as deep ecology. Deep ecology, according to Arnie Nice, the proponent of deep ecology, assumes that all living things possesses equal value and intrinsic worth regardless of their usefulness or utility to other things. Lahat ng bagay mahalaga, lahat ng bagay more purpose. Like for example, even those predator, like for example, snakes or even crocodile, they have this particular role in the environment to make sure, 'di ba, that balance in the ecosystem is being observed and is being managed or practiced. This is experiencing ourselves as part of the living earth and finding our role in protecting the planet. The second theory is what we call as social ecology. According to Murray Bookchin, the proponent of the social ecology, she believes that ecological problems can be traced to social problems. Societies that are structured around hierarchies as well as economic classes use their authority to dominate natural resources and exploit the environment for profit and self-interest. So the key word for social ecology is that ecological problems can be traced to the different social problems that we have. So for you to understand this particular theory is, for example, the rise of the informal settlers in the country. Unfortunately, because of the unequal opportunities given to the people in the rural areas, most of the people, iba, they migrated to the urban areas in hope for a better opportunity. But unfortunately, because of the influx of those of the migration of the rural people going to the urban, that leads to the problem in housing, which leads to the rise of what we call as the informal settler. Unfortunately, these informal settlers were situated on the riverbanks and that causes waste problems, diba? Their improper waste disposal was one of the main problems of those residents in the informal section of informal settlers in our country. Another example for social ecology is for the ruling class or for the wealthy ones, 'di ba? They have the power to develop forests or to develop mountains in their effort, for example, to build housing settlement, to build, for example, an establishment, while at the same time, they tend to compromise or sacrifice the ecology on that particular area, on that particular forest. So that clearly explains what is the concept or theory of social ecology. This particular problem in environment can be traced to social problems like poverty or, for example, inequality. And number three for the theories in radical ecological philosophy is what we call as ecofeminism. For ecofeminism, it assumes that male-centered view of nature is the root cause of ecological problems. To address environmental problems, humanity has to remove the superior versus inferior in human relations. Ecofeminism also believes that a society that tolerates the oppression of women is directly linked with its tendency to tolerate the abuse of the environment and the degradation of nature. So, it also features the existing patriarchal and capitalist system in our society, a social economic exploitative to the detrimental of women and nature. This theory benefits the social and political agenda of both female and nature. Kaya nga 'di ba, we have this particular concept of mother nature. We usually associate nature or environment in its feminine context, 'di ba, parang mother nature. At the same time, it also address the issue on gender inequality or the lack of opportunities given for the for women, for example. And this particular theory, ecofeminism, advocates for an equal opportunity. Diba? Like for this one, diba, women should demand equal pay for equal work. So there should be no superior or inferior in human relations. And in that case, if you give, for example, equal and fair opportunity for women, it also follows that you give also equal opportunity and you also give respect 'di ba, to our environment. That is the main concept of ecofeminism. Parang somehow magka-intertwine ang feminine side o yung female, and at the same time our environment or our nature. Now, how can one lessen the waste he or she is making? Or how can we be more efficient and more responsible in using the natural resources? Now, these questions can be answered by observing prudence and frugality towards the environment. Prudence and frugality are two of the many virtues that can help us in addressing various environmental problems and solving the challenges these problems have created. So what we're trying right now is what value should we possess in order, for example, for us, 'di ba, to be human person, 'di ba, in the environment, or human person as stewards of the environment, stewards of the nature. So these two values that we should possess or acquire is the value of prudence and frugality. Let's define first prudence. Prudence is the capacity to direct and discipline one's activities and behavior using reason. It is the behavior that is cautious and as much as possible keeps away from any risk. When we say prudence, magiging maingat. Prudence is considered as an ecological virtue since it can help us become wiser, more responsible in terms of using our natural resources, and most importantly, become more appreciative of nature's essential value. What I'm trying to say that is that if we're careful and prudent on our actions, for example, then it follows also that we are more careful and we are more prudent in taking care of our environment. It follows kasi na kapag maingat ka halimbawa sa buhay mo, maingat ka sa mga desisyon mo, parang it follows na nag-ingat ka rin sa environment. Halimbawa, maingat ka halimbawa na hindi ka halimbawa makakasira sa environment. So hindi ka gagamit halimbawa ng mga disposable or ng straw. So in that ways, by manifesting the value of prudence, 'di ba? That is one way of doing your part, 'di ba, on saving or protecting our environment. Number two is what we call as frugality. This is the second value that we should acquire. Frugality is the state of being thrifty, matipid. Kanina, maingat, ngayon naman, matipid. It is the careful supervision of one's resources. Frugality is also the cautious management of material resources like money. A frugal person always invests time to think carefully just to save a lot of money. So, for frugality, let's answer this one though. How can frugality help in solving environmental problems? One of the main benefits of being a frugal person is that it is environmentally friendly. When someone is being frugal in using natural resources like electricity and water, this person is putting lesser damage on our natural environment. Or like for example, instead for example of using elevator for example, 'di ba, you use the stairs. In that way, you save energy, 'di ba? You save fossil fuel at the same time beneficial for your health. 'Di ba? So nakakatulong sa environment pala ang pagiging matipid. Or like for example, instead of using, for example, plastic bags, why not have a bayong or a cloth bag, 'di ba? So that it could minimize the waste in our country, for example, plastic waste. A frugal person usually leaves out the idea of reduce, reuse, and recycle just to minimize expenses. Now, this same idea also minimizes overall environmental impact. So in that case, that is how being prudent and frugal can help us to save and to preserve and to promote environmental awareness in our country. To recap, let us highlight the important pointers for our lesson for today. We discussed environmental philosophy, and that is the discipline that studies the modal relationship of human beings with the environment. We also give emphasis on the importance of sustainable development. Again, when we say sustainable development, it is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the needs of the future generation. And lastly, we should always remember that humankind is a part of the world and we significantly affect our environment in the same way that changes in environment affect us. And that ends our lesson and also the end of our discussion for the first quarter lessons. So I hope to see you next time for the succeeding discussion for second quarter lessons. This is Sir Edward and see you again on our next episode. Thank you for your support. Bye and stay safe.